If you're waking up dreading work, feeling stuck, and wondering if there's a way out, then this video's for you. I spent over 10 years in high-stress corporate jobs, grinding 60+ hour weeks. I left my dream job in investment banking without anything lined up and felt completely lost. Now, I still work hard, including 10+ hours per week on this channel, but I feel energized instead of drained. In this video, we're going to spot the signs of burnout, figure out how to navigate your current job, and map out a real plan to build a business that you actually care about. So, let's get into it. The first step to addressing burnout is to recognize the signs that are there or approaching. And the first thing to pay attention to is the constant stress and fatigue. If you have been nonstop stressed out and just generally tired for a period of weeks or even months, that's a sign that burnout is approaching or that you might even be there. I remember when I was burnt out that I came home from work and all I wanted to do was just lie down. I couldn't wait until I had some free time so I could just rest and not be stressed without the pressure of getting hit up with an email or needing to do some work task even when it was late at night or on the weekends. You need to pay attention if you're agitated at work all the time and disinterested. If you have the mindset where you think that it's impossible for anybody to really enjoy the type of work that they're in, that's a clear red flag that you might be burnt out. When you're in that state, you might get in the mindset of thinking work is work and no matter what you do, it's not gonna be fun and you're gonna hate it. And I will say, almost any person would rather be out at the beach than at work for a day, but people who aren't burned out and engaged in their job actually enjoy and become energized by the people that they're working with. And so if you really have that feeling where you're just always angry and just disinterested in the work that you're doing, that's a sign that you might be burnt out. And if you feel like you don't have any control in your schedule, that's one of the driving factors that causes burnout that we're going to talk about later. So if you really feel like you just have a lack of control on what's going on in your life, that's another telltale sign that burnout's on the horizon. Burnout typically happens when a person overcommits. Now, for me, it was overcommitting early on in my career because I didn't know any better and wanted to prove myself. And so when you don't know what the line is of expectation, you don't know when it is that you can actually say no to things. A lot of people are insecure or feel like if they admit to their boss or whoever it is that they can't handle another task, then that's basically a public admission that you're not good enough and you're not able to do it. When you don't have any boundaries or know where the boundaries are, your job is going to take advantage of that and push you to do more because it's always going to be in their best interest. They'll see you as a fixed cost, and if they can get more output out of you, then they're going to push to get that. And if you don't recognize any boundaries, then they will assume that everything is going okay and just try to push and push to get more and more. And if you sit there and don't say anything, then you're going to be in the position where you're just stewing with an unbearable amount of work, and it's really going to build up. And a lot of times that's why burnout is silent and people don't even know that the employees that are working for them are burnt out. Control and predictability is one of the biggest factors that can determine whether or not a person's going to be burnt out. You have to know when you're going to be working hard and when you're going to be able to rest. And if that line constantly feels blurred, where you're working early hours, late hours, weekends, and holidays, then you don't have any sense of what your schedule is going to be or when you're going to be able to rest. And it's the worst feeling when you think that you're about to rest, you're done with your work, and then you get hit up with an email for a new task that needs to be done as soon as possible. For a lot of people, having control is more important than being able to work hard. There are people out there, they want to work hard and make something of themselves, but if they don't have any control and know when they're going to be able to rest, that's just really going to compound over time and really bring a pain to you that is the single leading cause of burnout. Now, if you've gone through the signs of burnout and you realize that is me, I am burnt out, do not quit your job. I know that is what you want to do, but as someone who's done it, I don't recommend doing that. What you need though is a break, and you need that break as soon as possible. And so if you are truly burnt out, you need to figure out how to get 1 week off for paid time off as soon as possible, and do not go on some kind of stimulus heavy vacation. Do not go to Europe and party for a week, because what you need to do is really recharge. I recommend doing just a week-long getaway somewhere quiet. Go to your happy place. That could even be where your parents' place is, just somewhere quiet so you can get away for a week and recharge. During that week, you need to avoid as many stimulus-heavy activities as possible. If you can take your phone and just throw it to the side for a week, that's all the best. You want to have a boring, quiet week where you have time to rest and wrestle with your thoughts. I recommend that people meditate, where they actually sit down and close their eyes for an hour a day and let the thoughts come up and pass, because your brain is like an email sorting machine and your thoughts are all the emails. When you're truly burnt out, all of the thoughts and emails and events that are happening in your life just keep stacking on top of each other, and you're not giving yourself the time and space to process it, and your mind is just overloaded with thoughts and stress because it can't handle it all. Think about what happens when you have 1,000 emails in your inbox. It's overwhelming and there's no way that you can process everything. And so you need to spend that week getting your bearings under you. So stay away from work, stay away from your phone, just relax for a week and do stuff that's peaceful and relaxing to you. But you need to get that week off as soon as possible. Once you come back from that week off, it's important to learn you need to set boundaries. And so this week of just thoughts with yourself, you probably will come to the same conclusion that it's very important that you don't fall back into old habits. It is okay to say no to certain tasks if you're truly overwhelmed. Part of the balance of your job is realizing how much is reasonably expected from you. And depending on how intensive your tasks are, any one person should really only be able to commit to 1 to 3 serious work tasks throughout the course of a day. If you have more than 3 real work tasks, and I'm not talking about just sorting through emails, I mean real objectives with deadlines that you need to work towards, then you need to escalate that to your boss. More than likely, they probably don't even realize that you're overwhelmed, and so we need to open up that communication lane. Keep in mind, if your boss is putting pressure on you, they are probably getting pressure from above them. And so if they think that you're doing a good job at what you're doing, they're gonna keep asking you to do more. When you become overwhelmed, you need to send an email or a Teams message to your boss and say, hey, I'm having trouble prioritizing what it is that you wanna work on. Can you get on the phone with me for 15 minutes and help me prioritize? Because when you're really overwhelmed, what the task is how to ruthlessly prioritize what it is that you're doing. Any one person can only do one thing at a time. Multitasking is complete BS. You can't do 2 things at the same time. It's one thing and then another. And as you gear shift between the 2 things, you're really taking a tax on your mental capacity. And the more that you do that, the more exhausted that you're gonna be. Draw some clear lines between your work life and your personal life and make sure that you keep those separate. Your boss will help you prioritize what it is that you need to work on, but it's up to you to tell them no when they're trying to get you to do work outside of normal business hours. Like, when I was early on in my career, I didn't want to use any PTO days because I thought that by working hard, that would be recognized in my year-end review that Pietro didn't use his 20 PTO days because he was just working so hard here. The reality is that nobody remembers that at the end of the year. And so take your PTO days. Your boss isn't gonna tell you to go ahead and take them. You need to take on the burden of responsibility to take care of yourself and submit days off or a week off in advance, get that approved, and then know that that's going to be the time that you actually have off to yourself. As that date is leading up, make sure that you're communicating so that the people on your team know that you're going to be trying to take some time off, so that when you say no, that you're actually out of pocket and can't respond to any emails, then there's not going to be any sort of surprise because you got that approved weeks in advance and you effectively communicated to the rest of your team. And honestly, it's just up to them when you're off to be able to manage your workload. When you get back, you can get back to it. But by knowing that you'll actually have those days or weeks off, that's going to give you more of a sense of control where you can actually recharge and come back refreshed so that you can do your job effectively. Now, the reality is that as long as you're working for someone else, you're never really gonna completely avoid those annoying feelings of not wanting to show up to work because it's not your business. You're not as emotionally involved if it's not yours. The only way to truly combat this feeling of not really being engaged in your work is to build something that you're truly passionate about. And most people don't know how to do that is the issue. The way to start is to just start with the smallest project that you can possibly conceive of doing. And so during your 9 to 5, what I want you to do is to commit 5 to 10 hours per week to working on building something on the side. You might ask, Pietro, what should I work on the side? And the answer is anything. Make it as small as possible. So with the internet, there is still so much opportunity that people are not taking advantage of because they're either thinking that they're above doing certain tasks or that they want to do something so epic that they can tell all their friends and family about it and everybody will be proud of them. I would literally start with something like taking extra used clothes that you have and try to sell them on eBay. If you go to the clearance section at Kohl's or whatever department store you want to and find a good price on clothes or shoes or whatever it is, you can buy those and turn around and sell them on eBay. Anything that you're doing will teach you the skills, because when you're looking at building a business, 5 to 10 hours on the side should be focused on building skills that will be applicable to what you actually do. Because at the end of the day, the first thing that you do is not going to be the last thing. But the skills that you're developing in your corporate 9 to 5 are only applicable for 9 to 5 jobs. They intentionally don't teach you entrepreneurship and how to sell things to customers, because then you would leave your job and go do that. And so the only way to build that skill is to just do something. If you really can't think of anything, then go on Fiverr and try to sell your services for the job that you're doing now as freelance. It will at least teach you the skills of being able to market yourself, find new customers, and actually focus on providing a lot of value for that customer so that they'll come back and call you. But once you do that for a little while and decide that you're ready to grow out of it, you might think, okay, it's time to actually build a product or a service. And a lot of people want to get in the e-commerce game, for example, and think that it makes sense to put out $30,000 to build a product and then turn around and sell it to the right market. But that's traditional logic, not entrepreneur logic. What you should do before you risk all that money for something that probably won't work out at first is test out whether or not there's demand and see if you can sell it. And so the first thing you need to do is validate your idea. There's two ways, I think, to validate your idea. Number one is to solve a problem for yourself. And if you can actually build a product or service that would solve a problem that you have for a real pain point, then there's probably a market that you can sell into where you can solve that other person's problem. Number two is to go on Google Trends and just see what's trending. You need to be a little bit creative here, right? I can't tell you exactly what to go out and see what's trending, because if something's trending and there's 1,000 entrepreneurs that go in and do it, then the opportunity for you to actually make money off of it is gonna be slim. But if you can find an opportunity that nobody else has searched for yet, that's wide open greenfield for you. And so if you can be the first person to move into that market is gonna be wide open for you. And if you're the only player, then you'll be able to get into it. There's a story that I heard from Alex Hormozi about an entrepreneur who owns a hot dog stand meets a genie, and the genie gives him one wish. He says, I want to make the best hot dogs in the world, that way everyone will buy from me. The genie told him, no, you don't want to do that. And so entrepreneur was confused and he said, okay, well then I want to have the lowest costs possible for my hot dogs, then everyone will come to me so that they can buy my product. Genie told him, no, that's not what you should do. So the guy's frustrated and he asked the genie, said, okay, well what is it that I want? And the genie tells him, what you really want is a starving crowd, because then you can put your hot dog stand on any corner and charge whatever price that it is, and you will sell out every time immediately. And so when you're looking to research for the next idea, you want to find the underserved markets where you can be the one to go in and fill it. If you're the only one in a market that can provide that solution, then people will be willing to pay top tier for it, and they'll have to pay you because you're the only one that can provide a solution to their actual problem. Once you have an idea, instead of building out the product, you should build out a landing page that's a mock-up of what you think that the product would be. Risk $1,000 or $2,000 doing some marketing through Facebook ads or with influencers, and just see if you can drive conversion traffic based on a product that is not yet built, so that when the customer ends up clicking and it shows up that it's sold out, then you have an idea that there's going to be potentially demand for you to explore further and invest more money into. But you have to know that the first thing that you need to do is just start, and start small, because this is going to take at least 3 years. If you're putting 5 to 10 hours a week on the side, you should expect it to take 3 years if you're going to be consistent, putting in the work to research, learn the skills to sell, market, build products, deliver value. But if you can chip away at that over time, then you're gonna end up building a path to freedom that most people aren't going to get to. And it's very important to realize that burnout doesn't have to be the end of your career. I've been there and it's terrible, but if you can figure out how to manage it in your 9-to-5 job, then you will be more engaged in your 9-to-5 to build the skills that'll transfer over for when you ultimately end up wanting to leave to start your own business. So take the first step today and your future self will thank you.